I'm Jane King at the NASDAQ market site. Apple suppliers Skyworks and PMC Sierra call off their merger.
I'm Remy Blair in San Francisco. It's all about the FDA for biotech. The latest approvals and today's panel vote are sure to sway markets. And as the world prepares for another Ebola outbreak, see what's on the vaccine horizon.
Welcome to Small Cap Nation. I'm Jane King at the NASDAQ market site in Times Square. U.S. stocks opened broadly lower as investors turned cautious in the wake of the downing of a Russian jet fighter by the Turkish military and the worldwide travel warning for Americans. This is the first geopolitical event that has impacted Wall Street negatively since the Paris and Mali massacres. Well, Skyworks Solutions and PMC Sierra terminated their $2 billion merger deal after the Apple iPhone chip supplier said it would not raise its bid again, clearing the field for Microsemi to be the acquirer. PMC Sierra recommended Microsemi's latest bid, with Skyworks unwilling to nudge up the offer. PMC Sierra terminated the deal and will pay Skyworks an $88 million breakup fee. Skyworks, which rode Apple iPhone and other smartphone demand to a long streak of accelerating profit and sales growth, has reported 3 straight quarters of decelerating earnings per share, with analysts expecting another 4 quarters of smaller earnings gains. Well, Cabela's is attracting takeover interest at a per-share price in the 50s. That's according to people familiar with discussions, and they did talk to Bloomberg. But it may take significantly more than that to satisfy some longtime investors. They want a price somewhere in the 60s. Activist investor Elliott Associates kicked off the takeover speculation on October 28th when it disclosed ownership of 6% of Cabela's stock and vowed to push for changes. Cabela's is up 40% since Elliott made public its stake and desire for changes. Biotech shares dropped after the biotech company said data was compromised in a European version of a study for a drug meant to stabilize or add weight to patients with colorectal cancer. Biotech shares fell 27% to $9.66 after being halted after hours. The company said data from 72 patients in the European study of its drug Xylonix had combined irregularities in the clinical trial, and the data loss will likely harm the statistical power of the study to show the drug's effects. Well, lots of small cap companies making news in earnings and other ways today. So here's a rundown. Baozun says its net income beat estimates. Series first quarter forecast trailed estimates. Dicom earnings per share beat expectations. Calobios was not in compliance with the NASDAQ standards on its 10Q rule. Palos City is seeing its lockup on shares expire. QTS Realty says investor General Atlantic begins a 2 million share offering. And Vince has entered in a 2-year consulting pact with its co-founders. YY shares third quarter revenue did beat estimates, and Chico said its board approved a stock buyback and an increase in its dividend. MB Financial plans to acquire American Chartered Bank for $449 million. That's a deal that would add 15 Chicago area American Chartered Bank offices and $2.8 billion in assets to its commercial banking business. MB says American Chartered brings a strong middle market commercial banking lending team and client base, an unparalleled core deposit franchise, and a proven track record of profitable organic growth. And Fantex burst onto the scene in 2013 with its offer to the public to buy 20% of Arian Foster's future earnings. It would cost a whopping $10 million, putting the career valuation of the Houston Texans running back at $50 million. But Foster ended up producing more injuries than touchdowns, and the player and the company terminated their relationship this month after delaying his IPO for more than 2 years. A Fantex spokesperson tells CNBC the only IPO being pulled is the one that was on Foster. This will be something to watch out for in the future, how the investments do on a specific player rather than on a company overall. FDA approvals are vital for drug candidates. Today, the FDA panel vote takes place for BioMarin's DMD drug, but there have been several notable FDA approvals ahead of Thanksgiving Day holiday. The FDA approved expanded use of an anthrax vaccine. Biothrax has been approved for different uses. What's the latest?
Hi Jane, it's busy on the FDA front. Several approvals and a handful of rejections are dotting the landscape. As for Emergent Biosolutions Biothrax, it's been approved for use to prevent suspected or confirmed exposure to the bacteria that causes anthrax. Back in 1970, the vaccine was approved for prevention of anthrax in people at high risk, and it remains the only FDA-licensed vaccine for anthrax. Earlier this year, Emergent's Anthrax was approved. Now, the drug is the company's treatment for inhaled anthrax. Emergent Biosolutions recently reported third-quarter earnings and revenue that topped forecasts, and shares hit an all-time high in the previous session.
Separately, Cotellic was approved by the FDA for treatment of advanced melanoma. How is the NASDAQ-listed company behind the drug reacting to the approval?
NASDAQ-listed Exelixis has a lot to cheer for. Both Exelixis and Megapharma Roche announced positive data from a phase 3 study on Cotellic in combo with Zelboraf. Now, data from the study showed that the combination known as birimifunib enabled people suffering from BRAF V600E and V600K mutation-positive unresectable or metastatic melanoma live significantly longer than with just Zelboraf alone. Now, Exelixis currently has a market cap of over $4.5 billion. Cotellic was discovered by Exelixis, and it is subject to a worldwide collaboration agreement between itself and Genentech, which is a member of the Roche Group. Now, Cotellic is also being studied in combo with numerous investigational medicines, including an immunotherapy in severe tumor types.
And last but not least, Opdivo scooped up another FDA approval. What kind of application has been approved this time around?
Well, it's another approval for the immuno-oncology drug Opdivo. Bristol Myers Squibb's drug is now approved in advanced renal cell carcinoma, which is a form of kidney cancer. The approval allows for the drug's use in patients with a previously untreated advanced form of melanoma. And data from a late-stage study was utilized comparing the drug with chemotherapy. Now, Opdivo has been approved for 5 other indications in the past 12 months, and it's already in use in patients with forms of lung cancer, as well as patients that are being treated for advanced melanoma. Now, the drug belongs to a class that are designed to help the body's immune system fight cancer by blocking a protein known as programmed death receptor. Opdivo was first approved in December of 2014, and the drug has brought in worldwide revenue of $467 million in the 9 months ended September 30th.
Up next, we take you to Europe for a look at the Monday markets when Small Cap Nation returns.
Good. Very good. You see something moving off the shelves, and your first thought is to investigate the company. You are type E. Yes, investment opportunities can be anywhere. Or not. But you know the difference.
E-Trade's barcode scanner. Shorten the distance between intuition and action. E-Trade. Opportunity is...
Before they sat down, one more time, just for themselves. Before the last grandchild graced the stage. Before Katie and her husband hit that rough patch. Before Kevin finally came home and the first grandchild arrived. Before the sons-in-law, daughters-in-law, and Brad's brief brush with the law. Before the second British invasion. Before Katie, Debbie, Kevin, and Brad. Before they became a family. There was a connection that started it all and made the future the wonderful thing it turned out to be. We know we're not the center of your life, but we'll do our best to help you connect to what is.
Sometimes the present looked bright, sometimes romantic. There were tears in my eyes, and tears in my eyes. And so many little things that we learned were really the biggest things. Through it all, we saved and had a retirement plan, and someone who listened and helped us along the way. Because we always knew that someday the future would be the present.
Every someday needs a plan. Talk with us about your retirement today.
Graham, how have the European markets been behaving today?
Well, Jane, all the markets ended in the red with the exception of Italy last night and continued in the red today, including Italy, with a broad-based sell-off. No specific sectors really. The news from the Syrian-Turkish border this morning probably made the markets even more nervous, and they're still in the red, and I think they're going to stay there probably for the rest of the day. Maybe a pickup tomorrow if the prices go down enough. Some important data today, mixed German data. The GDP growth rate slowed in the last quarter by 0.01%, or 0.1%, sorry. And this was pretty well what the market expected, but is not encouraging. However, German business confidence increased. It hit 109 in its scoring in November, beating expectations and reaching the highest point since June last year, 2014. So that pretty well is not bad. But at the same time, France business confidence dropped, not surprisingly really, in line with market expectations. The euro dropped briefly to 0.60, but has since risen back to 0.645. Possibly we've got a floor on 0.60, who knows? At least we'll see what happens. And a sort of general point of interest, a tiny Swiss bank, as of 1st of January, will do something that no lenders in Switzerland's done for a long time. It's going to apply negative interest rates to individual clients. Now, the last time something like this happened was in the 80s, when the government imposed balance limits and negative interest on major accounts, particularly banks and the like, to stop hot money flooding into Switzerland. The alternative bank Swiss caused shockwaves when it sent a letter out last month saying it will begin imposing these charges on deposits as of January 1, 2016. Will others follow? Who knows?
Well, Graham, what is this about reverse takeovers?
Well, yes, today on the AIM we have two reverse takeovers actually. A company which is a company sort of backing into and absorbing another company that's already listed on the AIM. The first example is Gresham House PLC, which is a UK-based specialist asset manager, interestingly focused on alternative investment strategies and particularly illiquid asset classes. More of that in a moment. They have announced their subsidiary, Gresham House Holdings, will acquire 100% of HS Limited, which is one of the leading managers of forestry and timber assets in the UK. At the level above the holding company, the PLC level, the company aims to get 15% IRR on capital employed by focusing on differentiated and liquid alternative investment strategies. Its sort of mission to the AIM by acquiring HS being a reverse takeover under Rule 14 as it's known. The acquisition will cause Gresham House to migrate from being an investment company to a trading business effectively. HS is a European investment management specialist in timber, as well as working in the field of wood energy and biomass development. The Gresham representatives said we're very excited to work with HS to establish new funds and co-investment opportunities. We will also invest in their infrastructure and asset management resources. Our aim is to deliver attractive returns to our investors and make this asset class more accessible to institutional, family offices and high net worth individuals. He went on, the attraction of investing in trees is that they grow irrespective of what the financial markets are doing, going up or going down. They grow not only in volume, but also become more valuable as they mature. The IPD and UK Annual Forestry Index has outperformed both equities and bonds for the last 20 years. Forestry's superior investment returns are generated from growth, long-term increases in land and timber prices, and through exploiting other development opportunities such as wind farms, hydroelectric power and telecoms infrastructure. The asset class also, very importantly, has significant tax advantages in the UK. All income from UK sales, timber sales, is free of income and corporation tax. Growing timber is exempt from capital gains tax after 2 years of ownership. Commercial forestry qualifies for 100% business property relief, making it exempt from an inheritance tax, which is very important also for obviously wealthier people. So forestry is illiquid in the traditional sense, but offers investors a unique combination of long-term superior risk-adjusted returns and the opportunities for individuals to pass on wealth from one generation to another, free of inheritance tax.
Always attractive. And your second example?
Well, the second example today is slightly more unusual in that it's called Mithril Capital, and it was started, a company was started on September 2014 with the sole purpose and the only purpose of carrying out strategic acquisitions. And it set itself the target until December 2015 to get that done, which it has done. It starts as a group of 6 people got together, raised £3.3 million to create a company with a focus on acquisition targets within technology, media and telecommunications. And they found their target. Agenda 21 Group is a market-leading digital media and analytics agency. It creates multi-channel campaigns across pay-per-click, natural search, display advertising and other paid media, underpinned by proprietary analytics. And the analytics obviously is something which is very important. It serves clients across a variety of industries, including financial services, B2B, utilities and B2C goods and charities. It has won numerous industry awards, most recently the 2015 Rare Award for Digital Strategy for agencies with 40 to 99 staff. The acquisition again actually constitutes a reversed takeover under the listing rules, and in fact there will be a new company called the Be Heard Group as a result. So another example of a focused approach to business acquisition. Set themselves a year, did it in a year. Well, that's all today from Graham Brown at Small Cap Nation Europe.
We'll take you to San Francisco next when Small Cap Nation comes right back.
Everyone works hard for a reason. Working together, we can help you prepare financially for when 2 becomes 3. Wells Fargo. Together we'll go far.
You want to be the best investor you can be. You want to cut through the noise of an overwhelming amount of analysis. You want the insights that will help you decide which ideas to execute and which to leave behind. You want your trades executed in 1 second or less, guaranteed and routed with institutional quality technology. Look no further. Open an account and find more of the expertise you need to be a better investor.
When I got the phone call that we had received the grant, I held my breath.
To have a program like this is a big reward.
Being a Chase Mission Main Street grant recipient is a game changer.
One of the biggest surprises in starting a small business is the number of hours we should work for the first 20 years.
One of the great things about this grant is that it is going to let us invest in some additional inventories.
It's going to allow this business to go to the next level.
Being a recipient of this grant, we can't be thankful enough.
It's a dream come true, and I'm still in awe.
Liberia reported its first Ebola death since July of 2015. A 15-year-old boy died only a week after he was diagnosed with the disease. This comes less than 3 months after the country was declared free of Ebola. It's estimated that over 150 people are being monitored in Liberia since new cases were confirmed. What progress has been made with these various vaccines?
Jane, with all the geopolitical turmoil, the last thing we want to hear is the word pandemic or even the hint of one. It gets tricky on the vaccine front, especially with candidates in an Ebola outbreak. Now, if we take a step back, when Ebola first broke out in West Africa in March of last year, ZMapp was in the developmental stage. Now, Ebola has since claimed more than 10,000 victims, and a handful of people were treated successfully with ZMapp. Now, that drug has been undergoing clinical trials in West Africa, and the FDA has granted it fast-track approval status. Currently, a new trial in Sierra Leone is taking place, and a candidate vaccine regimen is in development at Janssen Pharmaceutical Companies, which is part of Johnson & Johnson. Now, this Prime Boost vaccine is designed with the goal to strengthen and optimize immunity, and it also involves giving 2 shots. According to new analysis, $1.9 billion has been committed by the U.S. government for the international Ebola response to date, but big pharma governments and researchers have teamed up and are working on various studies.
What are some of the challenges that face the industry?
Well, Jane, currently there is no approved vaccine and more research is needed. It can take many years for potential vaccines to be tested and approved through traditional trials. And even for big pharma, it's been a challenge. Even at phase 3 clinical trials, a big outbreak is necessary to prove efficacy. And in developed countries, regulators may be hit with grant clearance problems with experimental vaccines. Last summer, the world feared the prospect of an Ebola pandemic. And at the same time, in an outbreak, a vaccine can only be used as part of a clinical trial. Now, alternatively, some vaccines had been licensed based on strong safety as well as immunogenicity data alone, and that's without trials of effectiveness in humans. Now, vaccine candidates must have already completed animal tests as well as phase 1 and phase 2 clinical trials in an outbreak, and this is for safety as well as efficacy purposes. They must be manufactured to the highest standards and stockpiled in large quantities for emergency use, so there is some hope in these situations.
Are there any small cap companies that are addressing the pressing need?
Well, Inovio is developing a DNA immunotherapy designed to provide broad protective antibody and therapeutic T-cell responses against multiple strains of Ebola. This includes strains that were responsible for last year's outbreak. Inovio is also advancing a therapeutic DNA-based monoclonal antibody product, DMAP, against the same virus. Now, under a $45 million grant from DARPA, the company was able to advance its DNA-based immunotherapy against Ebola into a phase 1 study in the second quarter of this year. It has conducted preclinical development of its DMAP products under this grant. And separately, Medicago, a plant-based biopharma in Canada, is developing 2 antibodies to fight the Sudan strain of the Ebola virus. The effort will build upon existing research that target the Ebola Zaire strain.
Listen up, investors. What to buy, sell, or hold. Our daily segment on what the experts are recommending when Small Cap Nation returns.
Guys, I got the jerseys. Oh, nice. El Nino. Aquí. Spray Dan.
Oh, yeah.
Don Ovan.
Think that's me?
You guy. It's $40. Can you cover that?
I'll send it to you right now. Done.
Okay, got it. So hat trick Rick, he's the best player on our team. You get the ball, you give it to him.
Great. Rick.
On your phone, online, on the go, Wells Fargo makes it easy to get banking done.
All right, Don, you're on. Nope, just kidding.
Doug, you've been staring at that for a while, huh? Listen, TD Ameritrade has former floor traders to help walk you through that complex trade, so you'll be confident enough to do what you want. I'll pull up your number. Blammo. Let's get those guys on the horn. Ooh. Looks like it is time to upgrade your phone, Douglas.
For all the confidence you need, TD Ameritrade. You got this.
Let's go, Serena. Fight, fight. Come on, fight. Can't stop me now. Come on, Serena.
It took tennis legend Serena Williams, fencing champion Tim Morehouse, and the world-famous Rockettes years to master their craft. But it took them only moments to master paying bills at Chase.com, depositing checks at Chase ATMs, and transferring funds on the mobile app. Technology designed for you, so you can easily master the way you bank.
Well, in buy-sell-hold action today, DuPont Fabros was rated a new buy at SunTrust. Granite Construction rated new buy at Maxim Group. Internap rated new neutral at SunTrust. Power Secure was rated a new buy at Canaccord Genuity. Redwood Trust cut to neutral versus buy at Nomura. And Schnitzer Steel raised to an equal weight at Morgan Stanley. Also, Ryerson cut to a sell at Zacks. Thanks for joining us on Small Cap Nation, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Until then, check back for the latest news and research on smallcapnation.com, Facebook, and Twitter.